Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yugioh Everything, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, back with another podcast. It's a segment that I really love doing and I know you guys really enjoy listening to. We do it, I have 2 or 3 people on every beginning of the month when the batch of spoilers comes out. And yes, the spoilers usually are 4 episodes. This time they've only been 2 episodes, which is kind of a shame, 132 and 133. And then I believe we have a week off from Arc 5, but we're going to make it work. We will make it work. We will make it an interesting podcast. We are also going to talk about 131. We are recording this Friday night, the Friday night before episode 131. I'm going to probably upload this if I can do the editing and all. It's tough to edit these long videos, but hopefully it will be another 2-for-1 deal when I upload the cast list. I will for 132 tomorrow afternoon. This is when you'll be seeing this video as well. So we'll be discussing a little bit about what could happen in 131 too. If you're watching this after 131 is aired, you might just want to skip that little topic, but we'll get into that. The 3 people that are joining me, 3 people that have been on before, 3 people that are really awesome members of the community. Legendary Duels, he's been on plenty of times. He does Arc 5 episode reviews on his channel, does character deck profiles and a lot more. Definitely check him out. Another person who's been on in the past is Forte. He does Arc 5 theories and discussions. He used to do deck profiles, a lot of good stuff on his channel, so definitely check him out. And last but not least, he was on our last podcast, our October podcast, Rare Ragnarok. He does deck profiles. He's currently doing a commentated playthrough of Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force. He creates AMVs. A lot of great stuff on all the 3 of these channels, so definitely check them out. And they'll give their more in-depth plug at the end of the video, so I really hope you guys stay tuned for those plugs. I will leave the links to all their channels down below. Please check them out. The 4 topics we are going to be talking about. The first one, and this is the one that kind of pertains more to 131, who is Reira? I know we've talked about Reira a lot, but I think this is the last time we'll really be able to give our final speculations, because I predict we're going to get a lot of information about him in 131. What is Reira's purpose? Is he from the original dimension? Is he related to Rei? We'll be going in depth on all that, and hopefully you guys in the comment section will also be giving your thoughts on this. The second topic we'll be talking about is Yuri versus Yugioh. We know they will be dueling in 132 and 133. That's pretty much the only information we got from these set of spoilers. So what are our predictions for that duel? What are some things that we want to see happen in that duel? We'll be giving our thoughts on that. The third topic, we have a lot of characters right now that aren't really doing much. Barrett, Jack, Gongenzika, Shingo, Shun, Sora, the Bracelet Girls. Will any of these characters get another duel? And what is a role if the writing team of Arc 5 came up to you and said you can pick 1 or 2 of these characters, what should we make them duel? What is a role you would like to see from, again, 1 of these characters, or do you think that a few of them we're just not going to hear from again? We'll be giving our thoughts on that. And the final topic is Yugioh versus Yuri inevitable? And if it is inevitable, will it be the final duel before Zark, the Supreme Dragon King, is reborn? So I will have timestamps of all of these topics in the description down below if you want to, hop around, especially if you're watching this later in the week and 131 is aired and maybe that Reira question has already been answered. If you want to skip right past that, feel free. But hopefully you guys do stay tuned for the whole video and give your thoughts down below. We really do want to hear from you guys, and it's going to be a fun podcast. So I'm going to kick things off with the first topic. Who is Reira? What is his purpose? What do I think of Reira? And I've said it before, he is a guy that he's a character that for a long time has really creeped me out. I've always had a very uneasy feeling about him, and I looked him up. I actually, right before this podcast, I watched about 90 minutes worth of footage from him. I looked it up on the Wikipedia just to see if there was any little things that I could say about Reira's character that maybe hints at him having a relationship with Rei. And what I mean by a relationship with Rei is maybe being Rei's younger brother or Leo's adopted son or something like that. And I was looking for things like that. We know he is kind of emotionless, but he's not really emotionless. He was emotionless in the beginning. He has no self-purpose. That's what everyone always says about him. But a very interesting thing that I found, episode 89, the end of episode 89, and I'll show the images on screen right now, and for the 3 people on the podcast, ironically, they're at a massive disadvantage because they might not remember. I don't expect them to remember the images that I am talking about, but it was these really weird, almost unsettling images right before Yuya shows up, right when Reira is having a panic attack, when the Obelisk Force members are approaching him, Tsukikage, and Selena. And this is when Selena had been, not poisoned, but had been like, I don't know, someone sprayed almost drugged in a way. She was like kind of loopy and out of it. And the Obelisk Force members are walking towards Reira, and Reira's starting to have flashbacks. And again, the pictures will be on screen right now. And this is the original town that Reira must have been from. And you see him in a broken down building, and they show, it almost looks like a western town that was hit with a nuclear bomb, and they show these three people in hazmat suits approaching him. And as, they're doing that, Reira is seeing the Obelisk Force members walking towards him, and he's having these, this really bad mental breakdown of, PTSD, which we learn that he does have. And it doesn't make sense to me. If he's from the original dimension, these images that you're seeing on screen do not look like it's the original dimension. And you also have to remember this, hazmat suits are used for like radioactive environments. I don't think Zark was setting off nuclear bombs or something along those lines, unless that's just the symbolism that they were using, that it was as bad as a nuclear bomb, Zark's destruction. But also, if this is during Zark's reign of terror, then how did Reira get pulled into Standard, right? We know Leo and others got pulled into Standard, but how did Reira from the original dimension, if he's being taken by these people in hazmat suits, become in the custody of Himika and Reiji Akaba? That's what I don't understand. And you'll see these images, and it makes no sense to me. Where in the world is this flashback happening? It doesn't look like the original dimension at all. Then again, we don't know too much about the original dimension. It doesn't look like Heartland. Synchro wasn't destroyed. Standard and Fusion weren't destroyed. So where is Reira from? Is he just from a location that's never going to be touched upon? I'm really not sure. Another thing that could make sense about Reira's character, kind of swaying away from this point, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below about this point, is he hates dueling, and maybe he hates dueling because all he knows about dueling is that it leads to destruction. That would kind of make sense if he was from the original dimension, and as he was growing up, he saw Zark destroy everything. Of course, we don't know how long that reign of terror lasted. Based on the flashbacks, I wouldn't think it lasted more than like a week or 2 weeks, but these entertainment duels, these brutal entertainment duels that Zark took place in, maybe they lasted a little longer. Maybe they lasted for, 2 months, 3 months time period, and Reira really was terrified of these duels, and that's why he hates dueling unless, Reiji is watching him. He also has a very strong connection towards Reiji, which it looks like Rei is trying to use that to get through to him, to get through to Reiji, use it through Reira to get through to Reiji in the next episode. So you have to feel I really want to believe there is some correlation, but based on these flashback images, and at the end again of episode 89, if you want to watch it yourself, I will have pictures on screen, I just don't know where Reira is from, because these images do not look like they're from the original dimension. If I had to predict, though, I really do think he's from the original dimension. I think he doesn't like dueling because he associates it with death and destruction. Maybe he's Rei's younger brother. I'm really not sure. How else would Rei get through? How else would Rei be able to communicate through Reira? Again, I'm really not sure, and some of you probably believe I just rambled on for 4 minutes and didn't get to any conclusions, but I really, it's just such a difficult, confusing topic. So I'm going to pass it over to Legendary. He's going to give some thoughts on it. Then we'll move on to the next topic, because again, if you're watching this after 131 is aired, what we're saying might already be disproven, or we might be completely correct, or it might be relevant. Who really knows? But Legendary, who do you think Reira is? What is his purpose? Just who do you think he is?
It's funny because, you're right, there really isn't too much proof to really go on in terms of who he is and, what his purpose is and him being attached to the original dimension and this and that. My opinion is kind of leaning away from that. It might be unpopular. I feel like most people would want to think that he's from the original and all this stuff, but it doesn't make any sense. And you're right, I did think immediately of that episode, as well as other episodes where he had these episodic moments where he had these flashbacks and he was going through this trauma. And it just, whenever I thought of those situations and I saw like you said, it looked like some World War II or III type of, well, not three, but yeah, World War type of situation where there's a lot of destruction, and that's where they said that they found him, in this war-torn kind of area and this and that, and that doesn't look anything like what we saw from the original dimension with Zark. It doesn't have this futuristic feel to it and this and that. So I feel like he has nothing to do with the original dimension. I feel like that's just I guess hopeful thinking or wishful thinking, in my personal opinion. I feel like he has nothing to do with that at all. I just feel like his purpose is completely separate from that. As of this moment, I'm not even sure if they're gonna really hit what his purpose truly is, because according to his history, and if I'm wrong about anything, you can, please correct me. He was found in this war-torn area, and I'm assuming whoever found him, they took him in, and then that's when Himika, Reiji's mom, pretty much, I guess, found him or found out about him and decided to use him for whatever her purpose is, which we, as of this moment, actually have no idea what that purpose is. That hasn't been talked about in ever, like since a long time ago, and I just don't understand exactly what she was doing with him there. Clearly, she was planning on using him as some sort of mindless robot that doesn't need emotions or whatever to actually get into these situations. She was just going to use him, and clearly Reiji had other plans with him and wanted him to gain kind of this, gain emotions and gain his own, I forgot, what was the word that you used, Dylan? That phrase that you used, that...
Self.
Yes, what was it?
Self-worth.
Self-worth, yes. Reiji wants him to have this self-worth inside of him, and that's good because that's what you need to become a good duelist and, I guess, independent and all this other stuff, and he doesn't want him to become what his mother wants him to become, and we still don't know why she wants him to become that way. I'm assuming that she wants him to be... She's planning on using... Maybe Reira is a tool that she's using to get back at Leo for abandoning them and stuff like that, because Reiji did state that, after Leo left, Himika pretty much, she became a different person. She became kind of like really, I guess, cruel or vindictive. I don't know the right words for it, but she changed as a person. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Reira is a big part of that, and she's using that boy for something. Now, I don't know if we're going to see it because, like, it's so late in the series, and yes, I guess we could see it in the next episode with Reiji, but based on the episode preview, if you look at it, it doesn't look like he's possessed or in some sort of trance or anything like that, like he's been in the past. He doesn't look like that. He just looks like he's dueling normally, and he has something he wants to say to Reiji. Reiji isn't listening to him, so he's gonna, talk to him through dueling like it's usually done in Yu-Gi-Oh! Overall. And I don't feel, to answer one of the other questions, no, I don't feel like he's related to Rei at all, obviously. I feel like Reiji, all these other people, the only people confirmed that I'm positive that came from the original dimension are the 4 U boys, which is all Zark, the 4 U girls, which is all Rei, and Cabaleo. And the only reason why those people were revived from the original dimension and no one else, at least from as far as we know, that's because they were all in that location where that event happened, and Rei used the 4 cards to kind of split apart the dimensions and everything. And those were the only, those 3 people were the only ones there during that blast, during that area, which is why they got, I guess, affected by whatever happened there, and they got sent. The 4 girls separated, the 4 guys separated, and Leo got sent to the standard dimension, and then there, I guess he got a family, Reiji, Himika, and then along the way, Himika adopted Reira and whatnot. So that's how I see it. I don't think Reiji or Akaba, Reiji or, how do I say, Yugioh or any of the other people that are involved in these separate dimensions, I don't think any of them were part of the original dimension. I honestly think they were just created the minute that the 4 dimensions split apart, and like Yugioh said, all of those memories might just all be fake up until a certain point, or most of those memories might be fake because he doesn't remember what he did before Yuya was born or what they were doing during that time. So for all we know, none of that even exists. And I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but that kind of just ties in with the whole original dimension thing. I don't think Reira's a part of it. I don't think Reiji's a part of it. The only ones that are a part of it is Leo, the 4 girls, and the 4 boys. And that's it. That's how I see it. And as far as Reira goes, I would really like to see exactly what's going to happen in the next episode with that duel, because we did see Rei's spirit talking to Reira. And that might make us think like, oh, well, maybe he's a part of that. And I can understand why people would think that. Like I said, my opinion's kind of unpopular here because I honestly think it has nothing to do with it. I just think that, Reira's always been the type of character who's been able to read like monster spirits and spirits in general and this and that. He could feel emotions, and I guess he could feel Rei's emotions and wishes, and that's why she's using him in a sense to talk to him, to go to Reiji and kind of explain her feelings to him, to Reiji, is what I'm saying. And that's all I feel it is. And I feel like, Reiji's not listening right now, and Reira just wants to get through to him and try to, according to the preview, his purpose for dueling Reiji is to tell him that, we have to stop the Zark from being reborn. We have to stop, I guess, the four Yugyas from connecting or whatever. But Reiji's purpose is to stop Akabaleo from, I think, starting up the machine or whatever. And I feel like it's a weird duel because I feel like they're both fighting for the same purpose. I said this in my review before, but I feel like they're fighting for the same purpose because, Reira is fighting to stop Zark's resurrection, for Rei, and then Reiji is trying to stop the four dimensions from being fused together. So it's kind of like they're fighting for the same purpose, but kind of separately. But I guess Reira wants him to focus more on preventing Zark's revival rather than the four dimensions because, that's what Rei wants, and he's able to feel Rei's feelings, and she's trying to talk. Only Reira can communicate with her because he has that kind of weird power where he's able to do it, which is unexplained at this point. But I know there are some duelists in Yu-Gi-Oh! In many of the series where they can talk to spirits and stuff like that, so that's not uncommon. But, I mean, those are my thoughts regarding Reira and whether or not he's from the original dimension and if he's related to Rei or not. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Reira.
A lot of great thoughts, Legendary, as you always give. You give a lot of you always give a lot of good points and a lot of good food for thought. And I hope you guys comment down below. This probably will be the last time we talk about Reira as his own topic. He's just a character that really has intrigued me and I think has been written pretty creepily interesting to this point. But we are gonna move on. We're gonna move on to our second topic: Yuri versus Yugioh. We finally are going to see Yugioh duel in a full duel, not in a Dennis-type 3-minute show. A full duel, a full entertainment battle. What are your predictions for this duel? Ragnarok, I'm going to start with you. What are your predictions for this duel? Who do you think is going to win? Do you think it might end up as a draw? How do you think it might end? And more importantly than that, or I guess as importantly, whatever you dictate is important, what do you want to see from this duel?
All right, guys, so you already know who it is. It's your boy, Rare Ragnarok. And honestly, the thing I want, like, we all kind of expected this. I mean, I feel I expected this Yugioh should duel. I think he really needs to duel for his character. But what I want to see is, I want to see Yugioh's cards. Besides the swords he used in episode 129, the only cards we know the only card we really know he has is Sky Magician. And that's the one, if you don't know, that he's riding on in some of the openings and some of the flashbacks Yuya has. So I definitely want to see more cards from Yugioh. And same with Yuri, honestly. I feel like we all can agree that these are characters we haven't seen a lot of in terms of duels. So, especially Yugioh. So I want to see more cards from Yuri, more Predator plants. We know more Predator plants are coming out in the new set in Japan, which should be releasing in, I think, tomorrow, or today if this video goes up tomorrow. But we only seen Yuri in really 2 duels. We've seen him in 106, which I don't really count because, yes, he won, but we didn't see a lot of cards. I think we saw like 2 magic, a couple of monsters, maybe 1 trap. And then we've seen him in Yugo versus Yuri, just on 130. But again, we haven't really seen a lot. We've seen Star Venom, Greedy Venom, Super Polymerization, and those are like just to name some of the cards that come to mind. Then we have a couple Predator plants. So I really hope we can see more cards from Yuri. I really think his deck is really cool to like kind of decipher, so I think a lot of cards from him would be really cool. And same with Yugioh. I think obviously we can assume that he's going to use Pendulum. I assume it's going to be something like kind of like Leo's, where he's only using Pendulum but is really skilled in the art of Pendulum. And as for the actual duel, I think we really need to see an intense duel, because I think this is going to be the duel that it's like, for example, like how Edo kind of showed Yugo smiles and how to duel with smiles, and that's kind of how he woke up from becoming one, being controlled by Zark. So I think Yugioh really needs to show, because we know Yuya is going to be there, and at least in 133. So I think Yugioh really needs to show or remind Yuya that dueling is about smiles and not about Zark. This seems to be about power and anger. So I think in reality that Yusho needs to really show Yugioh, like, again, remind Yugioh what the dueling's all about in terms of his perspective.
Yeah, and I actually pretty much completely agree with you there. I think that Yusho has, for me, and I'm sure for you three maybe, and I'm sure for a lot of people watching, there's high expectations on Yusho in this duel. Because he's a character who, while we have seen Yuri here and there, again, I would love to see more Yuri, and we are going to see more Yuri. I know some people are, based on the comments I've gotten, are sick of him. I kind of defended him a little bit in the Q&A, but so I guess Yuri is kind of splitting the fan base at this point. But I think Yusho is a character that a lot of fans, the majority of fans, will agree with, that they are very excited to see. And we've seen some very good entertainment duels from Yuya. Maybe not recently, but, in the beginning or middle parts of the series. But I guess that's all subjective. Yusho, this duel, I want to see Yusho put on the best entertainment duel we have seen in Arc 5 so far. Especially if this is going to be a duel based on the summaries that's going to snap Yuya out of his trance and help Yuya fight off Zark. This needs to be an extremely enjoyable entertainment duel. And this duel could last 3 episodes because it's going to start in 132 and in 133 it's going to continue. And based on the 133 summary, Yusho seems to get the edge, but Yuri sports a wicked smile, continues to sport a wicked smile, whatever that last line was. It kind of makes me feel that this duel is going to trickle into 134, which is very cool. Because when was the last time Arc 5 just did a good, solid 3-4 episode duel? I mean, I can't remember the last time. It was It wasn't, yeah, right? I can't even remember the last time.
I mean, we can count Battle Beast, but I think we all want to try to forget that.
Jeez, oh my god, yeah, I guess that technically is the last one. But I love my one-on-one duels. That was like a 6-on-5, on 1, on 2. I mean, that was a crazy duel. But I love my one-on-one duels. And that's what I thought Yuri and Yugo was going to do. And that duel, depending on how it goes in 131, probably going to be a little bit of a disappointment when I look at it going back in hindsight. But we'll see. I can't talk about that duel right now because, it hasn't concluded. But I want Yusha to put on this great show. I expect who do you think is going to win Ragnarok? Because I expect Yuri to win.
The fan in me wants Yusho to win because this should be his big duel. We've come to understand that Yusho's this great duelist, and in theory he should win. But I think we all know that Yuri is going to win just for plot purposes, and I just think that that will trigger Yuya to in more of an angry state after he sees Yusho lose or possibly even get carded.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you just said that because that's a perfect segue. I actually, and this might be unpopular to a lot of people, I want to see Yusho get carded. And let me say why. Let me say why. Arc 5 has lacked that, Kaido Moon Death powerful scene, that Bruno 5D's powerful scene, that, I can't really think of one in GX and Duel Monsters off the top of my head, but they've lacked that really powerful death scene that Yu-Gi-Oh! To me is so known for. And I think with Yuya there, and if Yusho goes out on a note like, son, I'm glad I was able to help you fight off Zark, you have to continue to fight, the rest is up to you, and then Yuri cards Yusho, that to me can be maybe one of the most powerful, upsetting scenes in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. I mean, it really has that potential, especially because we've never really seen an adult get killed off. Like, in Zexal, Yuma's dad never got killed off, off the top of my head. So I would love to see something like that, and then it sets up the perfect storm, Yuya versus Yuri, a duel I have anticipated since episode 40. I am very excited for this duel. As you just said, Ragnarok, I'd love for Yusho to win, but I would bet my money on Yuri, and if Yuri is going to win, which I think he's going to, you might as well card Yusho. Ragnarok, I'm just going to let you say if you think if you want to see Yusho get carded, if you think it would be a good idea, and then we're going to move on to the third topic.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think Yusho, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 really needs that Bruno moment because that Bruno death scene was definitely by far one of my favorite scenes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! That hit home. That was just a sad scene. So I really think seeing Yuya seeing his dad basically die will really be a powerful moment in the show that it really needs.
Mm-hmm. It really does need. The crow scene was good.
Yeah, the crow scene was good.
And that's probably been the most powerful, depressing scene we've seen, unless I know some people would maybe argue Dennis. But those were two very well done scenes. I just wish we've had more of those scenes, and I think this could be that scene that the show has lacked to really just set the emotions off. But anyway, enough about that. You guys let us know. Me and Ragnarok brought up some great points. Let us know all your thoughts on this duel, the potential of this duel, what you want to see from this duel down below. We're going to move on to the third topic. Right now we have a lot of characters that people will comment on my videos, and I absolutely agree with them. They're like, where the heck is Jack? Where is Shingo? Where is Gongenzaga? Is Shun still unconscious? Are the Bracelet Girls not going to duel again? Forte, I'm going to start with you. I'm just going to name a few characters. Barrett, Jack, Gongenzaga, Shingo, Shun, the Bracelet Girls, Sora. Do you think any of these characters will get another duel, and what is a role you would like to see one or more of these characters play?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, of course, Dylan, and this is
No
an
problem.
excellent question, and I've done a few videos kind of like bringing it up, and I don't want to call it a rant, but one of the things I feel that Arc 5 struggles with, despite it having a really great story, is they're at like they have a time problem, and they've introduced all these great characters that people love. They've made them lovable. They've made people want to relate to them and even like them, and it's just hard to develop all of them. But going to especially Gongenzaga and Shingo, recently they've just been fodder, and it's kind of a shame, because Gongenzaga very early on the show, despite me not particularly liking his design for somewhat obvious reasons, but he was a very strong character. Early on, he tied with Todo Yaiba and wanted to change himself. He wanted to adopt synchro summoning despite what his dojo said, and he even changed the ways of his entire dojo, which I thought was a very powerful moment. And despite losing to Yugioh before qualifying for the Miami Championship, he did it very gracefully, and then said, there's still time for me to win. It was a great duel. It's still time for me to qualify. And he's just been the ultimate bro for Yugioh, as we've seen time and time again, despite him not having any big wins. And then, of course, Shingo. To me, Shingo is actually, now this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think he's actually a pretty well-written character. And the reason why I feel this way is because Shingo starts out very cocky, very boastful. He only cares about winning. He's kind of like Chaz Princeton. I'm sorry if I use the dub names, guys. Please don't crucify me. But Monjome, if you will. Yeah, people get really hostile, but I'm sorry, guys. But like Monjome, he only cares about strong cards, and obviously that's kind of tying back to that, is getting people who watch GX very excited for the show, making parallels, but not to go too much into that. He starts out like that. He starts out very boastful, and he kind of continues that, but soon he adopts his own dueling method, which he found through Yugioh. He wants to be an entertainment duelist, and I truly believe he wants to. Even when he's lost, he's enjoyed the duel, especially against Yugo, which I thought was an excellent duel. He's enjoying the duel, and he's kept that kind of wanting to be the showboat and boastfulness, but has also been humble. Like at the end of the synchro mark, when he gives Yugioh the mic, literally symbolizing, I'm going to pass the show on to you. It's not always about me. He was also happy when Yugioh reunited with Yuzu, etc., etc. But he's always kept that not very serious vibe, just wanting to put on a show, until Crow got carded. This is the first time we've really seen true emotion for him, and I thought that was great writing, because it showed that you have to realize, despite the situation these characters in, they're very young. They're like 14, 15 years old, so it's truly a coming-of-age story, especially for characters like Yugioh and Shingo. And I think they really are saving for Shingo, at least I hope so, Shingo, some big moment where he still keeps his generic personality, but he has a more serious tone, and he realized his actions do have consequences. And I think he does feel remorse for getting Crow carded. So going back to what I think for Gongenzaga and Shingo particularly, as well as I think for Sora and Shun, I think they will play a big role in hopefully bringing Yugioh back and possibly helping defeat Zark. Now, I know the popular opinion, and it seems to lead this way, is that we'll have Zark revived, and then we'll have Rei revived and beat him again. But to me, that's a little boring, because we've already seen this. It's already happened once. You mean they're just going to take a flashback and reanimate it with new stuff? I was kind of hoping for something a little different. Nonetheless, I really do think they will duel again, and maybe they will lose against Zark when they all duel together, and something like that could happen, or maybe they'll deter Zark from stopping Rei's revival or something, because they'll realize, oh, we do need Rei to revive to defeat Zark. Arc 5 is really hard to predict, so it's hard to tell. With Barrett, it's really hard to say, because we haven't seen him a whole lot. We know he's in academia somewhere. He's had a long time to recover from the last duel in the Synchro arc, so it is hard to say where he'll be or what role he'll play. I imagine he may come up when we least suspect it. Like, Rei is finally about to be revived. per the professor's plans, and maybe he will defend that revival process, just come out of nowhere. It wouldn't be the first time Arc 5 has done something like that. And then going off Jack, it's hard to say who Jack will duel as well. He just came back, and to me, it seemed kind of random that he came back at the time he did. I was grateful for it, and it was definitely a very impressive entry. Although I did think it was kind of awkward him riding his D-wheel like across this forest scene. I just thought it was kind of weird. And another unpopular opinion, I personally would have preferred if Kachidoki had come out of nowhere and teamed up with Yuya to help him duel. And the reason why I feel that way is because Kachidoki was randomly introduced when we reached Academia, and then he just sort of disappeared everywhere after accepting quote-unquote Yuya's beliefs. And then we never saw him again. So it felt really fillerish, like he was just there to let Kite catch up to Dennis, and then we all know how everyone probably feels mostly about that duel. But nonetheless, I thought it would be an interesting thing for Kachidoki and Yuya to team up, because it just seemed like it would fit his environment. Since Kachidoki's kind of had this kind of duel style where he flips around and does martial arts, I think it would have made for a very epic duel. But with the crow scene, I guess Jack's entry was nice as well. But going back to the more overarching question, I do think they will duel again. And I think they will have a substantial role in preventing Zark's revival, or maybe dueling Zark after he's revived, maybe even with Akiba Reiji. The problem is there's too many protagonists, or I guess I shouldn't say protagonists, but there's too many good characters left and not enough evil characters. When they carded the Doctor, a lot of my hopes and theories kind of went down the drain when Akiba Leo just carded him and he didn't get a duel. And I thought that was a little bit of a mistake, but then again, with the episode count they're working with, I understand where they're coming from. But I do think they will have another substantial role, and it is hard to trust the openings for things, as we know. But during the opening, the names that get revealed are that of Sarutoshi Shingo, Kurosaki Shun, Gonginsaka, and they are the ones that are shown, as well as Sora. They're the ones who are shown with their names appearing on the screen, sort of like the U-Boys. So the show has acknowledged that this is not about certain legacy characters. As much as I love Edo, this is Arc 5, not GX, not 5D. So the heroes of the show, especially if Yuya is going to end up being our main antagonist, the heroes of the show should be those we met from Standard, or in the case of Sora and Kurosaki, Arc 5 exclusive characters that we met pretty early on in the show. It would make it fully 360 for character development. As Kurosaki has changed, he's become more trusting of others and wants to help others decipher his own goals, as well as Sarutoshi Shingo. Hopefully, in my opinion, I really hope he'll be a more serious character and keep some of his somewhat idiocentric tendencies and quirks, but I really do think that they all have a role in the show, and I really hope they'll duel again.
Well, you brought up a lot of great points, Forte, and you said it best too. This is not 5Ds, it's not GX, it's not Zexal. As much as we all love those shows, it is Arc 5. Let these characters duel, let them take care of things rather than Kaido and Edo. I do agree with you 100% there. Legendary, I'm going to let you give your thoughts on all of this. Before you do, I'm just going to make one quick point. It's funny that you brought up the Barrett maybe interrupting Leo thing, because I do think that's going to happen. You look at all of the kind of past shows, I think of the Aporia Zone duel, where someone who worked under the main antagonist stands up just to be defeated. So again, Leo not really the main antagonist, but maybe he's like, you can think of him as the secondary antagonist. And I think of the Aporia Zone duel. I also think of the duel from Zexal where Misael challenged Don Thousand, and that there's always a duel like that, and I'm starting to think that Barrett and Leo, Barrett defending Serena and the Bracelet Girls, it's definitely possible. So I like how you brought that up, because that's something that has been on my mind as well. Legendary Duels, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of characters to really consider in this. I will play off a couple of things that Forte said, because he said a lot of interesting points. Some matchups that I didn't even think about that I guess I'll play off of that and stuff, and other things that I'm thinking about. To finish off with the very last thing that we mentioned, which was Barrett. I would like to see him, just because of the fact that we don't know what happened to him. We just know that he took back Serena to the fusion dimension, and since then we haven't heard from him, so we really don't know what happened. So I think it's necessary for his storyline to close off, to at least know that where he is and what he's doing, and why hasn't he shown up, and why isn't he like beside a Caballero or doing so. Like, what is he doing? That's the main thing. We just want to know, what is he doing, and why is he not here in everything's going down right now. He should have appeared by now. And I'm gonna play off the point that you said, Dylan, with the whole Aporia versus Zone thing, and yeah, that is a very interesting thing, and I think that would be really great. My only concern with that is I don't understand what purpose he would really have all of a sudden to turn against a Caballero, because up until now we've seen that he's been very loyal to a Caballero. Even when Serena turned against a Caballero and all this stuff, he still brought her back and everything. He's extremely loyal to him, and he's also he's a warrior, he's a soldier. So they're the type of people who follow orders of their master, and they're not traitors. They don't turn their back and all that stuff. He has that embedded in his character. So I doubt that he would have any reason to turn against a Caballero, especially at this point. They haven't built anything up for him to all of a sudden randomly turn against him to try to face. I would like to see him duel some of the main characters. I don't know who. I guess maybe Shingo, maybe Gensika. I don't know. It could be any one of these guys at this point. But as far as him facing a Caballero, unless they somehow randomly make an episode devoted to something traumatic happening to him, which makes him realize that Caballero's, I guess, crazy or not the man he thought he was, and he decides to turn on him, then maybe I could see it. But it's just so late in the series. We haven't seen him. I felt like if they, they'll probably do, I guess, what they did with the Rory versus Yudo and Yuya and Serena thing, where the last minute they kind of threw in the Yudo and Rory relationship. Like we didn't even think that Yudo had any feelings for her at all, because there was nothing. And in one episode they gave us everything, and we just had to take that, because like, oh, okay, I guess he likes her. But it's kind of like this. Maybe they'll just give him a random quick couple flashbacks as to why he would be turning against him, which I feel like it's kind of last minute. It's a little too late for something like that. But in terms of Barrett, like I said, I don't think it will be against a Caballero. I think he will face one of the other characters that are still left, since there are still characters left. Maybe it'll be like a 2v1 or something. It could be maybe Jack versus Barrett, although that'll probably be an annihilation, if anything. There's Shingo and Gung versus Barrett. And it's hard to say. We haven't seen him, but it could be either one of those. Moving on from Barrett, I do agree with Forte's points with Shingo. I really do love his character. A lot of people, have their things to say about him, and he's just one of those characters that are the comic relief characters, but underneath they're actually very strong. It's just the way that they're written that it makes it seem like they're these throwaway characters, just for comic purposes, or just to make certain characters be strong, like Gong and Shingo losing against Kaito. That was just to show off the strength of Kaito. So it's like, we need characters to show off the strength of these new characters we're bringing in. So let's just throw these two in there, make them lose, and all of a sudden, oh look, they seem strong. And that's unfortunate for Shingo's character, because he's good. He's a great duelist. The duel that he had against Yugo in the tournament, the Friendship Cup, that was an amazing duel, and I've watched that a couple times before, and he like Yugo barely touched Shingo throughout that entire duel. Like, he touched him once, brought him down to like 3,200, and for the rest of the duel he was pretty much kind of just like untouchable until the very end, when he I think won with a Clear Wing Synchro Dragon and some combo or something. I don't remember it too well, but I remember that Yugo barely touched Shingo. So he's a good duelist, and I really love the fact that he was so inspired by Yuya's dueling that he just started to take on that personality. And he has a very good deck. It's very defensive, and has it's a cool theme, and it's just fun. And I would like to see him duel again, and possibly avenge Crow's death, since he was there, and he got very emotional during that scene, and he felt guilty for that and everything that happened. It would be redeeming for his character, even if he were to lose whatever duel he gets into, just to see him go all out and maybe try to avenge Crow and what happened there, since he saw his death, and it was a very emotional moment for him, and I would really love to see that. And for Gon Genzika, I guess he could partner up with him. My only concern with Goginsuka, I feel like if he does have a role in here and if he does duel anybody, I feel like he should just duel by himself, because as we've seen a couple times before, where whenever he's teamed up with somebody else, he doesn't do so well because his whole deck works around not having spells and traps in the graveyard. So if you're in a tag duel or whatever, for some reason your partner's spells and traps count as in the graveyard, so his deck doesn't work, which is why he got trashed against the Tyler sisters and I think maybe one other situation. So he needs that solo moment, I feel, to really show the strength of his deck, because if he's mixed with somebody else, he won't be able to show it as strongly, and I feel like he needs that. I don't know who he would face though. Maybe he'll face Barrett on his own. That's another thing. It's like, yeah, we have all these leftover good guy characters that need to do something, but who are they really going to face at this point? There's only Yuri and possibly Barrett, which we haven't seen, so that might not even happen. So unless they introduce, once again, like the whole Battle Beast thing where they just introduce somebody new randomly out of nowhere, and we just have to roll with it and be like, oh, this is a new guy as a filler villain or whatever. But I don't know, it just feels like I don't know who they would face at this point. But I do want to see them duel. I want to see Shingo avenge Crow. I want to see Gong have that defining moment that even if he loses, or hopefully he wins, that would be great. But if he loses, at least he's fighting on his own terms, by himself, and he can show off the true strength of his steadfast dueling, which is, I really love the concept of his deck, the fact that there's no spells and traps and it's all monsters, and I feel like that's such a risky thing to do, and it's just the way it works. I really love it. I built a character deck, so when I see cool concepts like that, I really get excited. But anyway, moving on from Shingo, Gong, Barrett, all that stuff. I think one point that Forte made was I think he said Sora and Shun versus Yuya and Yuto. I think that I never thought of that, but that would be actually a really great duel, because obviously I said Yuto because obviously Yuto's inside Yuya, so they obviously go hand in hand in a sense. So this would be a great duel actually, because we'd have Shun, who's fighting to save both Yuya and Yuto, but mostly Yuto because that's his best friend. And then we got Sora, who wants to save Yuya, who's also Sora's best friend, and is the only reason why he turned against the Caballeros, because of his friendship with Yuzu and Yuya, and he cares about them so much. And that's the only reason why he turned against the Caballeros. So I feel like that would be a very emotional duel on both ends. And also that would be a very interesting matchup because of the fact we got Shun and Sora possibly teaming up, and we know that they had this very intense rivalry for a long time in the beginning of the series, and just to see these two oddballs who had such an intense and hateful rivalry towards each other in the past, team up and kind of throw their differences aside and kind of team up, because I'm pretty sure Sora still hates Xyz very heavily, so I feel like there'll still be some tension there, but that would be a good way to close off Sora's character in terms of why he hates Xyz so much. I mean, it was never really explained why. You can assume that it was because that's what they implemented him in Academia, but like I just don't feel like that's a good enough reason. I feel like I just want something more defined, and I feel like that kind of matchup where they're kind of forced to work together and have to be forced to protect each other, they could kind of let go of their differences and at the same time also try to save Yuya and Yuto, who are their best friends, and that would be really great, a really great matchup duel. So I really thought that was a interesting matchup that would be great. Another interesting matchup, and this will be my last one, and this is a Yuya, I guess in Berserk mode or whatever, maybe after Yusho dies. An interesting duel would be Yuya versus Jack again, but Jack trying to save Yuya from this whole Berserk mode thing, since Jack very highly respects Yuya for being a great duelist. He defeated him and everything in the Synchro arc, and he came back, yes, for Crow, but even when he came in, he came defending Yuya as a character who he is, and his entire being. So Jack is still around. Crow's already was dead before he even got there, so he kind of has no real purpose of being there storyline wise, other than the connection he has with Yuya, and therefore I feel like if Yuya's gone berserk after Yusho died and he can't control his anger anymore, and then Jack comes through, finds him there, and tries to snap him out of it, I think that would be really great. And I know we've already seen the Yuya and Jack duel, and that duel was amazing. So it's probably not necessary to see another duel, but it could be a very great duel because of the fact that, you know, he's going to try to wake Yuya up out of this situation, and it'd be interesting to see how that would happen. So that's another possibility. As far as the Bracelet Girls go, no, I don't think any of them are going to duel at this point because they're already in the machines. It's already at 50%. They've already fainted for the most part, and they're already close to being Ray's close to being revived at this point. So there's really no point in any of them dueling because they're already trapped in the machines, and we know Ray has to be revived because she's gonna most likely end up defeating Zark. So at this point, the Bracelet Girls, I don't think anything's gonna happen with that. But yeah, those are my thoughts based on that topic.
Yeah, some great thoughts. Definitely a lot of really good hypotheticals from Forte and Legendary, and I'd love to hear hypotheticals down below from any of you guys in the comment section. We're going to move on to the final topic, and that is, and again, this topic, I don't like to make topics kind of more prediction things, and if I do, maybe just one. That last topic was a hypothetical. This is another hypothetical one because this duel might not even happen. But when you only get 2 episodes to work with, I hope you guys will cut me some slack. But the fourth topic, the final topic, I'm going to start with you, Forte, and then we will hear from Ragnarok and then wrap things up. Is Yuya vs. Yuri inevitable? And if it is inevitable, who will win, and will that be the final duel before Zark is reborn? Forte, gonna start with you.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think it is pretty inevitable because we've pretty much established that Zark's revival is contingent upon the U-Boys dueling, and seemingly in this enlightened state, there is a little confusion about that, whether you can just duel a U-Boy casually against another U-Boy, and once they lose, you just automatically absorb them. It feels like if you duel a U-Boy, you get a U-Boy in a way, which is kind of crazy, but I do think it is inevitable. And going back to the Yugioh versus Yuri duel, for the duel we're about to talk about, Yuya versus Yuri, I feel like it's inevitable that Yugioh would probably beat Yuri, unless Yugioh beat Yuri and then he pulled some underhanded trick, but I highly doubt that. I think Yuri is just going to overwhelm Yugioh, and then, not to get too far off the question, but I could honestly see Yugioh saying something to Yuya and it being a super emotional moment, like, I know you're not the devil, I know you're my son, no matter where you came from, you will always be my son. Something super emotional like that, which would like almost make me cry, but I'm a man, so I won't do that. But nonetheless, I think that duel is inevitable. And more than likely, Yuya will be in some sort of berserk state, especially if the hypothetical we just gave does happen. He'll be in the berserk state because he could barely control it when Yuzu was just sitting there captured and couldn't get out. If he actually sees his father get carded, I think it's over. I think it's just no bars hold. He's just going to go crazy. And the thing is, even if he triumphs, it doesn't matter who wins. I think you brought this up in one of your videos, Dylan. It doesn't matter who wins, which is why it seemed like Edo and Kaito's mission, despite me loving them, loving them interrupting the duel is maybe a little bit of strong language, but I did like what they were trying to do. Their motives were good, but they just lacked information because Yugioh lacked information. This is a very mysterious phenomenon with Zark's revival, but it doesn't matter who wins the duel. If you're a U-Boy and you beat another U-Boy, it's all according to Zark's plan. That's why seems to have this unnatural pull to one another, such as when Yugo sends Edo just to go save Rin. He's like, no, I've got to duel this guy. It seems completely irrational, and it's because there's this natural pull to U-Boys because it's all based on Zark's ultimate goal to be revived. But even if all these U's, even if Yuya isn't in berserk mode, and he fights it and beats Yuri, I think it's all according to Zark's plan. And I do think Yuya will probably beat Yuri, because at this point, Yuya is still our main protagonist. He won't lose to Yuri, but as I said before, it doesn't really matter. No matter the outcome of that duel, and assuming it does happen, we'll have a revived Zark. And I do think it's going to happen because it's the main way for Zark to be revived. I think it's all based on this whole elaborate scheme that he set up. But I think it'll be an interesting duel. I kind of hope, just on a side note, we get to see Yuya synchro again. We've really only seen him do the Pendulum Exceed or just the Pendulum Monster. So I would love to see him synchro again in that duel. I think it'll be very exciting. Maybe some more Predator plants. If it does happen, I think it will be an excellent duel. And based off the emotion, if Yugioh loses, I think it's going to be one of the greatest moments in Arc 5. I really do.
high standards, Forte, but you know what? I love it. I really do
Yeah.
love it. I really do love it. Me and Ragnarok just spoke earlier about it, and that is maybe the potential for the scene that Arc 5 has been lacking in terms of sadness and powerful emotion. Ragnarok, what are your thoughts on this duel?
So I'm actually really interested to see the spoilers coming out tomorrow or today if this video goes up tomorrow, because I want to know if Yugo is actually in the cast list, which he probably will be for 132. But I'm really kind of curious to know, will Yugo become one with Yuri? I know it's kind of off topic, but that kind of relates to how Yuya will take on Yuri if that does happen. I agree with Forte. I think Yugioh and will have that powerful moment, and then that will awaken more anger, more hate in Yuya, which will then fuel Yuya to take on Yuri. Because, again, we all don't know if Yugo is going to beat Yuri, but we kind of assume from the spoilers that Yuri will beat Yugo just because he's not mentioned. And it'd be kind of weird if Yugo beat Yuri after a loss. Yuri's randomly taking on Yugioh after a loss, which I think we all can agree doesn't make sense. So I think once Yuya actually takes on Yuri, I think we will get those characters that you guys mentioned, Jack, Gong, Shingo. He will eventually I think they will show up once Yuya will take on Yuri, only because I think Yuya will drive Yuri into a corner, and not like Yugioh will driving into a corner. I don't think Yuri's going to come back. I think Yuya will summon Odd Eye's Raging Dragon, and then about to beat Yuri, and then those characters like Jack, Shingo, Gong kind of show up and say, yo, Yuya, don't do this. This is not you. Duel with smiles, even if you have to lose. Maybe not that part, but you know what I mean. So I think Yuya might awaken. Maybe Yuri will pull a counterattack. I don't know, but I think we all know that Yuya will defeat Yuri if this does happen, which I think we all can agree will, and then become one. Then that's how Zark becomes revived.
I like it a lot. I really do like it a lot, man. That is a duel that I have wanted to see since episode 40, and the fact that it's a duel that might happen almost 100 episodes later is crazy to me, but I'm just glad it hopefully will happen, and as you said, very excited to see the 132 cast list. Forte, if you want to make one last point, and then we're going to wrap things up.
Right. I think we were in sync, Ragnarok, because as you were talking about dueling with smiles, I had another quick thought. What if it's not exactly what we think? Maybe Yugioh does get carded, and instead of Yuya becoming enraged, he's able to fight that emotion. I think it's a little less likely, but what if he attempts to duel Yuri with smiles, and he actually defeats him, but nonetheless, Yuri is still absorbed into Yuya because, once again, all contingent on Zark's plan, and Zark is still revived. I think that would be the ultimate slap in the face to Egao in a way, and I think it would be great writing that even though Yuya followed his father's will after he passed, I don't want to say passed away, after he was carded, that he defeats him by dueling with smiles, but it still leads to the resurrection of Zark. I think that could be a very powerful moment. Ultimately, Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably wouldn't end on such a dark note where it just ends like that. There would be some redemption, and Zark would probably be defeated, but I still think that would be pretty good writing. And I'm still leaning more towards he'll just go berserk because we've seen it over and over again. But I thought that would be a pretty interesting thing if you guys think it's even remotely possible.
You know, I think that in all of this, the real wild card is what's going to happen in this Yuri-Yugioh duel, because if Yuri doesn't card or doesn't kill off Yugioh and Yushou's present during the Yuya versus Yuri duel, I think the fact that I think what you just said has a much higher possibility than if Yugioh gets killed, because Yuya will know his father is watching, his father is in the room with them, and he's going to try to carry on the wish. If he gets carded, it would be interesting to see if he could hold back the berserkness, but it's definitely possible. Right. There's a lot of things that we can all speculate. I think you guys all brought up some really good points, and I cannot wait to read all of the comments down below, because I know the community and you guys watching will bring up some really amazing points, as you always do. But guys, that pretty much concludes it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I always say it, but we are just 4 people really in an amazing 1,000-person community, thousands and thousands of people, and the fact that you guys, take time out of your day to watch us and listen to what we have to say, we can't tell you how much that means to us. And this is a segment that I love doing because it lets me put a platform for other people in the community to give their thoughts, and for me to meet new people, and for new people to meet each other. And I just love doing these monthly podcasts when the spoilers come out, and I hope it's a segment that you guys enjoy just as much as we do. If you want to comment on any points we made, which I really encourage you do, please check the link in the description. Not the link in the description, God, it's been a long night. Write a comment down below. And as you know, I try to answer as many comments. And who knows, maybe Legendary, Forte, and Ragnarok will make an appearance in the comment section as well. I'll let these three give their shameless plugs, as I like to call it. And Legendary, if you want to start, tell them what your channel's about, go right ahead. You can find all their channels in the description down below.
All right, guys. So yeah, once again, I'd like to thank them for bringing me on here again. This was a fun conversation, talking with Dylan, Forte, and Ragnarok. This was a really fun discussion. I really enjoyed it a lot. If you guys want to come to my channel, Legendary Duels, we do character deck profiles, we do character duels. I haven't really done the podcast in a long time, but we do it here, so I guess I don't really need to. But we also do. I also do reviews for the Arc V anime, so I'm up to date every week. I always make sure to have a review for that. And in the future, I may have in the future for next year, I will have other new segments that I'm going to add to my channel. But for now, character deck profiles and dueling is what we mainly focus on. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. So yeah, you guys could continue on.
Okay, so hey guys, I'm Forte, and I want to thank Dylan for having me on, and thank Ragnarok and Legendary Duels for putting up with my ramblings and this awesome discussion we have. You guys are an awesome community. So yeah, my channel also does some kind of Arc 5 theory type things, and also does some random discussions on whatever I feel is a little controversial, or I want to know what your guys' opinion is. You guys have been awesome. I've had people leave comments, and then people have seen me on other videos and be like, hey, you're that guy that does like little Arc 5 theories, or I've seen you on the comment section of other videos, and then people see me on comment section for like dueling videos, because I do Yu-Gi-Oh in real life, and I did do deck profiles way back in the day. I wouldn't mind doing them again, but I kind of lost like a little bit of passion for it, because it's just me looking at a computer screen talking about cards, which I do enjoy, but I feel like I can really express myself talking about the anime, because I truly do love it. But yeah, if you guys want to check out any of my content, I would always love to have you, and we can start a discussion, because that's really what the videos are about.
All right, guys, you already know who it is. It's your boy, Rare Ragnarok. I think I said in the last podcast I was in, which was the October podcast, that I haven't been uploading as much, but I really have started to upload once again. Like Dylan said, I'm doing a playthrough of Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force 5, which I'm really enjoying. What he didn't mention is that, which I don't blame him, because that's not technically up yet, but I am going to start doing TCG openings. I ordered the 2 Yugi and Seto Kaiba structure decks. It should have came in the other day, but of course the post office is not giving them to me for some reason, so I'm hoping to get them in Monday, try to get those videos up as soon as possible. I did order an Invasion Vengeance booster box, which I will be opening on the channel, so make sure to check that out if you like TCG. I just put out my first deck profile. What I like about my deck profiles is that they're not necessarily the competitive decks, but they are the most fun to use, just because I like to have fun when I duel. I'm not more of a win-win-win. I'm more of I want to pull out these combos just to see if I can have fun and actually win. So yeah, that's really about my channel. I haven't been doing a lot of AMVs because, as Dylan probably knows, that 4Kids is really grilling down on these clips. So I can they block my AMVs in most, like 80-90% of the countries in the world. So they're no longer fun to make, which is a bummer. But I've been sticking with Yu-Gi-Oh content, which is great, and I do plan on doing some Pokemon content once Pokemon Sun and Moon come out. So if you really like that, make sure to check out my channel.
Yeah, good old 4Kids. We really do love them. No offense to anyone who works for 4Kids that's watching, but no, these three, great content on all their channels. Please check them out. Give them a subscription. Show them some love. They are incredible people. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I said, we would not do these without you. Please comment any thoughts you have down below, and until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.